Hi everybody, we're here today with a Q&A with Geraldine Hills, who is the founder and owner of Inclusive Choice and also the founder of the Parent Champion model. Geraldine's going to talk to us today about emotional resilience, and she has lots of lived experience as well. We're really pleased to have you, Geraldine.
Oh, it is absolutely my pleasure to be here because I can almost touch you, real people. Not. Yeah, I know. I'm really pleased to be here, and I think now more than ever, you know, emotional resilience is, I think, what's key to all of us. I know for a fact that I've watched my 19-year-old's emotional resilience go up and down and up and down, and including myself as well. So thank you for inviting me. And you know, if I can share anything that helps even just one person, that'd be my pleasure.
So talk to us a little bit then about the book Emotional Resilience that you've written and
Oh, you
where
mean
that came from.
this one that I made earlier?
Yes.
Yeah, this one I made earlier. Well, so I guess, isn't life really funny? Because who knew when I read this book, my life was very different. But who knew going through chemo and radiation, this book, I would read my own words and remind myself that I do have strength that maybe I'd forgotten I had. So I guess I wrote the book because I wanted to do so much with my life, and I think I'd formed an opinion about myself. You know, I wasn't strong enough, and I think because of my ADHD, my dyslexia, and all the other things, you know, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, I kind of had formed this opinion that I was like stupid. And I think my early years experience in schools when I didn't achieve the way that the education system expects you to, I think this opinion I'd formed of myself as a young age, that I was stupid and possibly didn't have much to offer, even affected who I chose to marry and how I allowed them to treat me. You know, and that's quite a dramatic thing to say. How I chose my friends, how I treated myself, and so I guess when I started at Inclusive Choice Consultancy, I can't tell you how terrified I was, and I think it must have been a little bit a moment of like a little window where I thought maybe I'm not stupid, you know. And I think it was then that I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to take a deep breath and start to look at not what I can't do, what I need help with. And it was reading and writing. So when I started going on courses, you know, just saying I can't read very well and I can't write very well, and you know, and then somebody suggested I should go to university, and I was like, don't know, because if I go to university, somebody's going to say, "Who let stupid in?" You know, that's how I felt about myself, and I was really scared. But there was this voice inside me that kept going, "Do it, do it." I think it was ADHD actually, but do it, and I did it, and I was terrified. But they had this place called the disability office, so off I went, and they said, "Come here, you're a remarkable woman, but you have these things. They're called dyslexia, and even if I didn't get those diagnoses, I don't really care because I do need help. I don't need a diagnosis to tell me I struggle with understanding people sometimes, and reading and writing, and directions, all those things, anything. I forget things, and the chemo's compounded the memory as well. Anyway, they helped me and they changed my life. And I did get my degree. That's irrelevant in the sense of it wasn't the degree that caused me to open up my own company. It was the fact I thought I'm not stupid. I just need help. You know, I'm not worth it. And I think when I then gave birth to a young person with disability, no, I didn't give birth to a young person with disabilities because that'd just be weird. Baby with disabilities, and that really changed my life, and my emotional resilience went down for a long time because I didn't. I thought I had to do it all by myself, and I did for a while. And then I thought, this is wrong. Why am I doing this all by myself? And then when I had to take a school to tribunal because they basically said my child was worthless, and he didn't need to be educated, and basically they didn't want him. which is so ironic because today Sam speaks fluent Japanese, 6 GCSEs, started his life in an amazing school called Lancasterian. It's an absolute privilege to share my son with Lancasterian School in Manchester. He's a beautiful, accomplished man. He's got all his disabilities are still there, you know, his autism and this and that. And that's who he is, and I wouldn't have him any other way. But I just thought, you're not going to treat my son like that. And I thought, well, I'm going to go to tribunal, and I won. And it's not that it gave me any pleasure, maybe a bit when I won. It was the fact that the knowledge set me free. And that's when I thought, what if, because it was really hard trying to read the law and trying to understand it. I went on a training course, you know, to learn about the law. I don't know what I thought I was doing. That was hard. And I thought, no, don't like it. So I thought, right, but I'll take what I've learned and I open up a company and I'm going to make the law so simple and write these so simple books that anyone can read. I'm going to put pictures in those books as well, because I like pictures when I'm reading something, because I'm very visual. I didn't want anyone to feel like I did, emotionally drained, afraid, alone. So I wanted inclusive choice to be about inclusive for parents, not just people with disabilities. And then when I sort of went along with this, what I noticed a pattern. So what inspired me to write the legal books aside, you know, that's because I wanted to make the law accessible. But on my journey as a parent carer, and when I came into contact with a lot of other parent carers, I noticed how much we were all struggling to maintain good emotional resilience. And I also noticed the pattern, and I hope that, you know, people won't mind me saying this, but a lot of parent carers I came in contact with, it's almost like their learning had stopped. You know, they weren't going on courses. I mean, of course some were, but I could see that a lot of them felt the way I did, where I was like way down the list of anything for myself. And that included looking after myself emotionally. And then one day I dream all my books. Seriously, I do. I dreamt the Parent Champion model. I went to bed and dreamt it. And I dream all my books as well. And I dreamt about Second Chance Day. And I woke up and I realized something. And I thought, the day I said I couldn't read properly, that was my second chance day, wasn't it? To say, I need help. Yay. The day I accepted chemo, it was my second chance day to live, to try and reach out and help. And so I called it Second Chance Day. Second chance just ahead. And what I love about it is this. On the back, there's a question mark. And this is what really excites me about this book. Who would you be if you said today, okay, then just for today, I'm going to have a walk, and I'll do that once every day. I'm going to have 5 fags instead of 8. It doesn't matter. I'm going to have, you know, like 3 biscuits instead of 4. Small changes. So for me, it was when I was at my very lowest, it was like, today, I'm going to give myself a second chance and wash my face. So it's not big, it's little. And that's when this journey started for me. And if I can just show you, I don't know whether you can see that, but this is what I was like every day. Every day, there's no, it's all my fault, you know. Sam's disability is my fault. I'm too fat and too thin. I'm too this. I'm not fast enough. I can't, blah 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 blah. You know. And the minute I left myself alone and thought, today I'm going to wash my face, that's good enough. Then I was able to give myself a little break. These are self-portraits. Give myself a little break and calm down so that I could read a book or get some ideas. So this, who would you be if you left yourself alone? And I guess I'd be an author. So how do I write books then if I got dyslexia? I do my friend's ironing. I've told you this before. I'll do your ironing, you do my full stops. You know, I'll do your babysitting if you draw some pictures in my book for me. So it was just a case of looking at emotional resilience. I can't do meditation because of my ADHD, not very good at mindfulness. So I thought it was over for me. Oh, I can't do those things. It wasn't. For me, it's about little second chances. Oh, so what if I smoked and I'm supposed to be giving up? Second chance day means I'll have another go tomorrow and another go tomorrow and another and another and another. And while you're having a go, it just means you're getting healthier because you had a go, rather than saying, right, if I overdrink or eat, I'm not describing myself here. If I overdrink curry, I've messed it up, so I might as well just keep eating. No, second chance day. So emotional resilience needs to be small, and it needs to start with you leaving yourself the hell alone. I don't care how, if I messed up yesterday, I know I've overeaten because I can go for a walk. This, that's called your emotional ladder. Down here, I always say to parents, when you're at your lowest, I never ever, I try not to make phone calls when I'm at my lowest, because you won't see Geraldine, you'll see someone different. And I might say inappropriate stuff, not be very nice on the phone, or speak to a school in the way I wish I didn't. So what we want to try and do with this ladder is try and get up here a little bit, just a tiny bit. So if this one is deep despair, and then we can get up to this one, and then even if you're angry, it's still a good emotion, and it's better than being down here where you're not moving and you're doing nothing. So I always say, what would it take to get you up the run of a ladder? And you know what it takes for me? I love when my hair's been washed and I feel nice and my face is nice and washed and a bit lippy. I won't do much, but at least I'll be out of bed. And that's what I did with my chemo treatment. It wasn't like big journals and big promises. It was, can I get someone to help me to wash my hair? Can I put some clean knickers on? And can I put a bit of lipstick on? That got me through chemo. It wasn't anything big. It wasn't big talks or anything. It was just brush your teeth, Jeff. You know yourself when you brush your teeth, something happens, doesn't it? And you wash your face, you just get a tiny bit of energy. That's going up the ladder, because down here is dangerous, because we can have thoughts to hurt ourselves, or we don't want to be here. So I just believe with all my heart that emotional resilience doesn't really have to be, this is why these chapters in here are really short chapters, because of my ADHD, I can't stand being still. Emotional resilience doesn't have to be a book to read. It has to be you thinking, what can I do? And if leaving yourself alone is sitting watching EastEnders, do it. You don't have to say, oh God, I'm a potato couch. Leave yourself alone. Do what it takes to give this a break. And that isn't that challenging in lockdown. So I've been learning Spanish.
Feeling guilty, aren't you, if you're not doing something? If there's always something to do, generally, as a parent. Anyway,
women do, but I'm not going to say that. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've been learning Spanish, so I'll do the rest of this interview now in Spanish.
Don't do that.
I just learned Spanish because I could feel a little bit of depression creeping in. So I thought, what do I do that I love? I love languages. And then I started fantasizing about because I love Barcelona, and I was like, oh, when I go and I'll be able to do a bit of Spanish, and it just lifted me. Then I had to look on the website, and I was like, oh yeah, and it actually was a real tonic. So my question would be now to anybody, what is it you could do today that's really small, or you can make it big if you want to, really small? What could you do today to give yourself a second chance? And who would you be? Wow, really though, who would you be at the end of the week if you did that small thing every day? Don't care what it is. And don't start about not being able to go out, because I walk around the flat and I've got a little thing. I got a video and I dance in front of the telly just to burn some calories, which isn't always easy because the chemo and radiations wreck my body, but it's worse for me if I don't move. So I would love anybody watching this to tell you the feedback and just say, we could start a revolution, couldn't we? This is my second chance day today. I wonder what it would be. What would yours be, Meg?
Oh, now you put me on the spot.
Hey. What about you, Em?
Definitely more time for myself, concentrating on myself more. I think that really hits and resonates with me, because you just never stop. And I think, in the work that we do, it's kind of sped up our life instead of slowed down. So obviously lockdown generally at the moment for everybody is, you know, you're seeing people who are out of work and it's really devastating. And a lot of the families we work with are really vulnerable families, or families that have children with additional needs that don't have the support that they need in place at the moment. So for us, it's increased tenfold, but then we also have children at home that we need to support, and we also have had our world turned upside down, and them not being in school, and you know, things that are out of sync to reality, and husbands at home working and trying to get the house done and work done and the kids happy and nothing to entertain them with and not being able to go anywhere. So there literally is a round robin of never stopping right now. So trying to maybe find even 10 minutes in a day just to...
I love what you just said then. So we're not doing a big thing, you know, hours and hours of face packs, although that would be good. It's 10 minutes for you then, isn't it? But that adds up to 10 minutes every day. Whoa, that's amazing, isn't it? Because that's a lot in a week to give yourself a break, shift your focus. What about you, Meg? I'm not letting you off the hook.
I think that what you said before, Geraldine, listening to your other video really stuck with me in terms of stopping yourself, being aware of that negative voice to say, actually, let's not think about what I've not done. Let's think about what I have done and put myself into a more positive space, and doing that regularly and building that into my routine. So I think my second chance is doing that again, really, and making sure that I continue. And actually, if I miss a day, I've missed a day. Just carry on.
And it's speaking to yourself like you would speak to your friends, isn't it? We say that all the time, like you would to young people, and maybe taking heed of our own advice sometimes, because we advise young people all the time about these things, about, you know, thinking about yourself. And what would you say if somebody else said that about one of your friends? Would you ever say that to one of your friends about them? And would you ever pick up on that about your friend? And they'd be like, well, no, because that would make them feel sad. And so, well, why do we do that to ourselves then?
And look what we do with our kids. You're gorgeous, lovely, wonderful kids, and you're all lovely, wonderful. And then I'm at myself all day. You're too fat, too thin. You're blah, blah. No, you know, I love what you said there, Meg. I was just looking in the book, and in chapter 3, get some really good habits. I don't know why I'm showing you. What am I doing? Get some really good. Chapter 3, everyone. Get some really good habits. I love what you're saying, because what you basically said is you're trying to develop a new habit. And you know that I have a habit, I'm sure a lot of us do, those googly eyes I showed you, I could be like, you know, writing a new book or something, but actually in here, I'm doing all sorts. And so when I find myself, and there's another chapter in the book called Shift Your Focus, when I find myself picking on myself, and this is mindfulness. Mindfulness doesn't have to be, you know, you sitting still, but when I find myself starting on myself, or if I think, oh, the cancer's going to come back, first of all, that's an assumption. Secondly, I've got no proof of it, but now, without realizing it, my heart rate's up, depression's creeping in, I shift my focus. So I love knitting. Don't tell anyone, but I do like knitting away. And I got sausage fingers now because the chemo's done a lot of damage, but I knit a complicated pattern. Oh, it's brilliant, because I've shifted my focus and I have to focus on that pattern. So I like running. I used to love running before the cancer, so I still try and run now. I like to do that, and that takes me somewhere else. So it's those developing habits, like Meg said, of watching your mind. And if you find you're in the middle of a storm and you're attacking yourself, shift it. Is it EastEnders? Is it knitting? You know, I don't know what it is. Go and have a massive snog with someone you like. I find that works. Not in love though. And doing something and getting to the habit, and give the habit to your friends and your kids as well. My son, when he gets a bit down, some of his disabilities can be quite challenging, like the Tourette's. So he has to, because we co-wrote the children's book that goes, you know, alongside this, called Second Chances. Because kids need lots of second chances, and he does struggle. And so, and it was he talks in the book about taking responsibility, because that's another chapter in here. And it's important that we take responsibility for our actions, because then we can start being honest and saying, I was mean to myself, and I'm going to take responsibility for that, and put some, as Meg was saying, put something in place and watch my mind. And when I do it again, it's my responsibility to go, because I juggle now as well. So that's ADHD. Honestly, I can't sit still. Don't ever invite me around to your house, because anything that's lying around, I'm going to juggle it. no matter what it is. Could be the kids, anything. So, you know, he's learned to shift his focus because he has a lot of challenges.
I think as well, they say it takes 30 days to change a habit, doesn't it, and replace it with a new one. So that'd be a really kind of good focus on a 30-day plan to change a habit from one thing to another. And again, just keeping things small is really helpful. And it's interesting that you say about what you did in regards to having to break down the law in regards to learning how to achieve what you needed to for you know, for your son's education, and something that should be available freely, something that shouldn't be challenging to achieve, something that should just happen, and it doesn't for many families. And it consumes you, doesn't it, as a parent? You know, it becomes your full-time everything to achieve just what the basics of their basic rights to education supported in a way that they need to be. So when you say that you sort of broke everything down and you did some courses and you recognise that you struggled with the interpretation and learning that course, and then you then decided, well, if I'm struggling with this, then there's probably lots of other parent carers that are going to have to know this, but are potentially not going to be able to learn it well because of how it's delivered and how complex it can be. So talk us through what you did with that.
I think because I had a breakdown, see, with the tribunal, because I was not doing any shift in my focus, let me tell you. That's why I wrote the book, because I learned that after the fact. I had a breakdown, and I realized why, because I knew I needed to get justice for Sam at all costs. It wasn't just about the apology. I knew if it was happening to my son, it was happening to other families. Now, hang on a minute. What if you've got your own learning difficulties? English is a second language. Nah, I'm not living in a society where that inequality happens. I'm not saying that I have fixed anything, but I thought, what role could I play? And I realized what it was. It was because of the way I learn and the way I have to sound words out, and the fact I've forgotten what I've just read. And a lot of people will recognize these traits and ADHD and dyslexia and the rest of it. I just knew, I thought, oh my gosh, there's going to be kids who are missing out on an education because people don't know their rights. And I was sick of people saying, oh, Sam shouldn't be an educator. He should be over there. Where what? No, he's going to get a job. He's going to be a citizen. He's going to travel in Manchester. He's going to have friends. He's going to get married and leave me alone. And I thought, well, the only way I can do it is to make something complex and break it down, because that's how I learn. So, and also make it exciting. I am so in love with the law, I can't even tell you. It gets me really excited because it's important. It protects it. And I wanted to show not just parents, but schools as well. God forbid anybody gets cancer. You need the law, don't you, to protect you in your job. If, God forbid, you had an accident and ended up in a wheelchair, you need the law to keep companies in check so that you can keep your job. You can get into the cinema with your wheelchair, accessibility. So the law should never be elitist and difficult, but I felt it really was. And that's why I had a breakdown trying to learn the law. And then I'm joining, and I was going around to these law firms going, hello, can I be a volunteer? I'm actually having a breakdown, but just ignore that. And I did become a volunteer, and I tried really hard and I still couldn't get it. So I thought, and my book was really well received and published by Rowledge, which blew my mind. And then some of the solicitors were like, oh, we haven't read the law book that's got pictures in it. I don't want there to be inequality and knowledge. I don't see knowledge as power, because that sounds a little bit aggressive, but knowledge sets you free, you know, to create better societies. And then the parent champion model came about, because I thought, what if I could train other parents to tell other parents to tell other parents, this is the way. And then I wrote another book called Getting Your Message Across. So how do we go about in meetings? Because I used to cry all the time in meetings, and then I didn't hear that you just said you were excluding my child because I'm crying. So I learned the hard way to take an advocate with me, take notes. And then I learned about the law, and so actually, I don't think you should be doing that. And don't get me wrong, if it wasn't for some of the most amazing schools that have been in my son's life, he would be the young man he is today, along with, you know, me as the parent. So I have the utmost respect for schools, teachers, but it is not okay to discriminate. And I wanted to bring that knowledge so basic that you could understand it. And the way I did that was through my own stories, the book, the training course, and the parent champion movement, dare I call it, where knowledge, the respect of knowledge, because what we don't know is not worth knowing. There's like nearly 500 of us now. So with this like massive community, and I am so proud of everybody on that page. You go on that Facebook page and you say ABC, and someone will finish the sentence for you because they have that knowledge. So when only one person has the knowledge, it's a form of bullying, isn't it? It's a form of control, and I wanted to readdress that, and I hope in some way, you know, I've done that.
And I think it's you're touching on, I mean, the parent champion model is phenomenal, and obviously we're doing lots of work together on that, on replicating that across the country. I'm really excited about increasing that for schools and families, and that being available. And you know, it's just such an amazing idea, an amazing model, and it is about having that knowledge and supporting each other, and it is fantastic. And you touched there on Sam, and it would be really great if you could just share where he is now, because I just think the story around what he's achieved is so inspirational.
Yeah, I mean, Sam started his life, and as I've said, I'm very proud to have shared Sam with amazing schools. And he's always been in some form of supported education. And his diagnosis was, oh, he's not really, you know, he's not going to achieve much. And he didn't sit up as a baby for a long time. Then we managed to get him up with special shoes, then on a Zimmer frame, then growth hormone. He had growth hormone from when he was 5, and he only stopped it 2 years ago. Now he's 19, and we managed to get him to, I think he's 5'9". So, because he wasn't growing at all. So, he was very, he found education very difficult. And then, of course, you throw in the autistic stuff and the Tourette's and the mobility and the visually impaired, because he doesn't have sight on the one side and peripheral vision. So I was constantly being told, oh, well, he won't have, you know, and I thought, no, I'm not having it. Nope. And that's what I love about us parent carers, this strength that we have. I don't know how, but we are amazing. And I could cry when I think about all of us and what we go through sometimes. You know, medical and education is tough for us sometimes. And I just thought, no, I won't sit down. I won't. So I pushed and pushed and pushed. I finally got into mainstream. They started their nonsense, and we had to go to tribunal. The tribunal, when we won it, said, we don't think he's going to get a good deal if he goes back to that school. Would you like to choose another one? Which is really unheard of. Wow, my God. I chose a school up the road. They loved us from day one in a professional way, but they loved and cared for us as a family. And did I see my son just blossom and grow with I can't tell you how this school promoted friendship and care. And so Sam started to learn, and then all of a sudden out pops this voracious reader, fantastic reading, and he's just going through every book. And his reading age, he's like 10, and he's got a reading age of 13, 14. So they were letting me take in his own books. And then he starts languages. He's absolutely crazy for languages. So here comes another gift. So it's almost unbelievable that I had to go to tribunal because this other school said he was worthless, basically.
And it's just flipped it, and it's not looking at challenges, it's looking at what are his gifts and what are his strengths.
It's see the person first, isn't it, with their strength based, and then the disability, all the way up to high school. Beautiful high school, loved us. And you've got to remember, I'm constantly up there going, you know, oh, does my bum look big in this? No. I was always up there crying about something, and they were, oh God, Mrs. Hills again, you know, lock the doors. They were lovely to me. I was always scared. And don't forget, Sam was injecting himself, and they created a little space because he could do it himself, a little space where he could take his medication and his injections privately. When he went on school trips, it wasn't this big deal. It was, what are Sam's strengths and what can we do? And what can the hospital do? Let's get together. Off he goes on a school trip, you know. So again, they loved us as a family. Next thing I know, Sam, fair and square, head boy, and his job was when the young people used to come into high school with disabilities, Sam's job was to gather them up and show them round and mentor them. Then he went to college. same thing, 6 GCSEs, you know. So he just, and then Japanese A level, and he's fluent Japanese. So now he runs an online Japanese group. He would have gone to university, but he can't, to become a teacher. And he's going to teach young people with disabilities. So don't tell me to sit down and don't tell me this about my son. And I've instilled the same attitude. He hasn't, his disabilities are there, the same as ever. It's irrelevant about the GCSEs. I'm just making a point about it. Doesn't matter about that. It's the fact that he has skills and they were overlooked as if he had nothing to offer. Whether you've got GCSEs is irrelevant to whether I've got none at all, but I can still write a book, so leave me alone. So it's about how you support people, isn't it? To be wonderful, giving people second chance days. And the day that the school said, we see you, Sam, then the disability, wow, second chances galore. And so he is going to go on to become a teacher. And this is all up to him. This is what he said he wanted to do. And in the book, Second Chances, the young person's book, Sam does talk about whether he should drink alcohol or take drugs. And he said no, because he's on medication. And he said he had to see about taking responsibility. He says he's got all these plans and he feels like drinking might get in the way of it, or taking drugs he shouldn't would get in the way. So when you allow people to grow and you empower them, they can make their own decisions, build their own lives. And I just don't think the school in question ever envisaged this Sam would be this beautiful young man. And then lastly, last year, just before the lockdown, Sam won the Buzz Award Citizen of the Year. So at the Etihad, and we had the gala evening, and he won the whole thing. So anything's possible, isn't it?
It is, and I think it's really important that one of the things that you said, that school worked with you and understood you as a family.
Yes.
And I think that's where you definitely see a difference with, you know, you've got schools and academies and alternative provisions, and there's no kind of consistency on how they all operate. It all depends on people and knowledge and their processes. But what we're generally seeing across a theme of everywhere is that wraparound support for the full family and understanding the people at the
it works.
Makes such a difference. And I think if any professionals that watch any of the videos on this site, I think that's one of the main things that we want to kind of get the message across about is listen and understand people first. You know, all too often you see in policies and procedures and bureaucracy and behavior policies and sanctions, and but when you kind of put that person first and look at them as an individual, and then look at their wider needs and what's going on at home maybe sometimes as well, and how can we support everybody, and that just makes such a difference, because you know you that building that relationship and understanding people is just gonna,
well, that's emotional resilience right there, isn't it? It doesn't all have to be about, I don't know, candles and bubble baths, does it? Emotional resilience. It can be when services become that critical friend, become the extra support. And I cannot tell you, even with my cancer, Sam had to watch me completely bulge, yellow, sitting there shaking. I just disappeared from the mother he knew. And we didn't know if I was going to die or not either. It's not, you know, it's not like somebody said, right, this is the type of cancer and you're definitely going to live. It wasn't like that. So he was endless and relentless. And I noticed that his Tourette started to increase again, the Tourette syndrome and the ticking. But it was the wraparound support, as you say, that Sam did something he shouldn't have in college. And instead of them saying, you know, they just said, well, this is unlike Sam. Now they could have gone, right, you're excluded. But they didn't, because they knew he was hurting and he was scared about my illness. And they said, this is not like Sam, something's up here, wrap around, see that? And then, are you all right, Geraldine? I said, well, no, I'm not coping. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, there's this, this is the college, you know, and they don't have to. Well, there's this service for Sam, and we can get him a little grant or something, and he for himself, and blah, 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 blah. And I was able to go, oh, thank goodness, and rest. So it pays tenfold. Or do you want me ringing and crying and, you know, and I just think it's more work for services when they don't do that wraparound or co-production, you know, with their communities. Yeah, definitely.
Trust in terms of trust is just so important. And I think when a service or an individual takes the time to listen and build that relationship, if there are difficult conversations to follow, if it's actually, we can't support with this or we can't support with that, or you're not going to get this that you hoped for your child, actually being open and being honest and working with people in a transparent way and focusing on the strengths, it's so important. And I think me and Emma particularly, one of the things that we love about what we do is coming across parents and carers where they're amazing and they don't know that they're amazing, and the service that can tell them that and say, actually, we've got another parent that we could really use your knowledge. Actually, would you, once we've got things sorted and you're feeling better and we've got things in place, actually it's about that sustainable support long term. And that's why I think like parent carer for Manchester Parent Champions are so important, because it's not about that dependency on service. It's about arming yourself, about coming across people that you can build a trustful relationship with and being strengths focused. And I think a lot of what you talk about is that, looking at what's going right, what's going well, not focusing on all the negatives. And I know you've talked before as well about focusing on the here and now and what can I do today, not what I can't worry about what's going to happen in a week's time or a year's time. What can I do today to make a change for me or for my child? So
I learned that from Christie's. When I wanted them to go, and in 3 weeks you'll be cancer free, and then and no, they don't do it. It's all about the here and now. Would you like a complementary therapy? Would you like this? And I love the way that they weave around you, and they almost don't let you frighten yourself by going. There's a chapter in this book called Are You a Time Traveler? And that really means, do you travel into the future and frighten yourself? Oh, I have this and that, and the cancer's coming back, or I'll never lose weight, and I'm, or do you go in the past and sit there and, oh, I wish I hadn't done that, or are you here now? Don't be a time traveler. Leave it out. Stay here now, because that's your second chance day, isn't it? 10 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow, I'm going to do this. And then before you know it, you don't smoke anymore or whatever it is. So, and something else about the parent champions, that over the lockdown, and this is who we are as people, there are people they've done ESOL, English as a second language. They've become those types of teachers. They've done the qualifications. People have gone back to reading, maths. I mean, they've blown me away, all different courses. See, when you leave yourself alone, you can have a little bit of energy because you've got brain space, haven't you? I just made that word, that brain space. Brain space. And so I think, I wish it was a bigger movement in the sense of, this wraparound service that I've always felt, well, most of the time we've had with Sam. Look at it, we've thrived. Sam's achieved, I've achieved. And that's what happens. Families thrive when there's trust, as you said, Meg. Trust is everything. Co-production, working together to build better buildings, better communities. It works every time, but it's amazing how things still get designed without us. And that's why buildings are not accessible. It doesn't work when you make yourself an island and you think you can make the decision about a building or a family based on your opinion and yours only. It doesn't work in schools and it doesn't work in health. So I just hope, I want the parent champions to go from strength to strength. We've got all sorts of things I want to do, but of course it's the lockdown, but it doesn't stop us, and I'm sure you're busy as well.
Yes.
In terms of the parent champion group, if somebody's watching this and thinking, oh, I'd like to be part of this community, where should they go, Geraldine?
So we're a Facebook page at the moment, and it's Manchester Parent Champions with an S, Champions Facebook page. If you just find us on Facebook, and as long as you answer the joining questions, there's only like 3, join us. So at the moment, as I said, we're online. The lovely thing about the parent champion model, you can do nothing and just read the post. You can post, you can share. Please share what you know. And then when we're at a lockdown and we're allowed to do the training again, there's so much that I can hook you up with. If you want to do more development, different training courses, if you want to join up with your school and be a champion in your school, we train you for that. There's loads of stuff. Or you can just stay on the page and be happy there. But we're a community. You'd be so welcome to join us. Yeah.
And what's your website, Geraldine? Your Inclusive Choice website?
It's inclusivechoice.com.
And people
And
can access your books on there as well.
All of my books are on there. I think even the parent book, but all my books are on Amazon, but the parent book particularly is free to download on the website, or you can get it from Amazon if you want to. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. We could talk to you all day, and I'm sure we'll be having lots more sessions with you going forward. Thank you so much for your time today, and it's been really helpful.
Thank you, Geraldine.
Can I come back and talk about getting your message across one time?
Of course.
Of course.
Hurrah! Thank you both.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.